My role within CenterParcs is to look after the four village operations, and that covers everything that goes on that village. So I'm not responsible for generating accommodation sales on there, but everything else, so all the profit generation and the guest services, and all the strategic objectives that we set for the four villages. CenterParcs has got four villages strategically placed around the UK. We've got one in Nottingham, we've got one in Woburn, we've got one in the Lake District in Cumbria, and then we've got our Elvedon village over in Suffolk. Each of the villages consist of a broadly similar activities, and they consist of a range of leisure. We have a variety of restaurants, and we have retail shops, and we have our sort of jewel in the crown, which is our subtropical swimming paradise, which is the facility that every guest goes to. But for us, it's about, there are probably very few, if any, other places within the UK where you can get that variety of activities under one roof or in one environment. We'll have between 4,000 and 4,500 guests staying on our villages, on each village on any one day. The village occupancy level for last year was just over 97%, which means that they're probably nearer 4,500 every day. And they will stay in different levels of accommodation. We've got our comfort accommodation, which is our sort of basic accommodation, and that goes then through from executive, exclusive, right through to our tree houses, which are our new additions to the villages. At head office, I have a variety of specialist managers. Within my team, I'll have somebody that's responsible for food and beverage, retail, guest services. I'll have a special projects manager. I'll have somebody looking after standards of performance. And those managers, their role is to provide a support service to the villagers and link in with the villagers so that the village teams can actually focus on their core business and not be drawn away on other issues. My immediate team, which is my key managers at head office, we'll meet about every 6 weeks, and they will be updating me on issues that are going on within the villages, and we'll be talking about the sort of, again, longer term objectives. And it's key for them that they interact with each other and they know what each other's doing, because so many of the things that they do cross over. On the village, we start off with a general manager at the top of the tree. Then we have a deputy general manager who assists them, and then we'll have a line manager for each of our specialist areas. So we will have a leisure line manager, somebody looking after housekeeping services, technical services, finance, HR, retail, and food and beverage. The interaction that we have between the village team and head office, it's happening all the time, because there are other disciplines in head office other than my own. They're all providing a service. There will be some regular meetings that we have with these teams, so some that are set up on an annual our annual planner, and they'll take place every week, every 4 weeks, every 6 weeks, and different managers will be coming in to provide information for each of those meetings. But there's probably dialogue going on every day with most of our managers across the villages and head office. The main reports that I'm working on are weekly financial reports, weekly guest service reports, where we're up to with our capital expenditure, our labour turnover. So we're looking at the 360 degrees of all of our business. But the reports, I could look at reports giving me sales as each and every transaction takes place. I could look at them every minute, I could look at them every hour. But for me, the key part is that my managers are doing that. They're doing the comparison. They're looking at who's doing best rather than me, and I'm just looking at the overview, and we can then get into, when there are issues, then we focus on the issues rather than getting drawn down into the day-to-day. For us, what makes CenterParcs the all-year-round destination is, I think, the number of facilities, the flexibility. We will flex our price throughout the year. So if you come in summer, or if you come at Easter or October, then you're obviously paying a peak price, because there's a very high demand for that. If you come outside of those peak pricings, then the price flexes. It will price flex by break. It'll flex by villa type. So there's a huge amount of flexibility in there, and we use a yield management system to do that. Our subtropical swimming paradise, it's 80 degrees all of the time. We have a whole variety of tropical plants in there. We've got rides and slides in there. So it is somewhere that the guests can go no matter what the weather is doing. You go in there, whether it's snow on the ground or frost on the ground, you can go into the pool and thoroughly enjoy it. It's open throughout the day and during the night, so it's an activity that's available to everybody. The decision to move to concessions, so the likes of Café Rouge, the likes of Traeger's and the likes of Starbucks, wasn't an easy decision. It was a decision that took us some time to take, but again we observed what was going on the high street, and clearly these brands were expanding. Our guests were used to those brands, and so we took a fairly small step, but got a very, I suppose, very positive reaction from our guests that they wanted something that they were familiar with. So we made these steps gradually. We've recently just changed a couple more of our units within food and beverage and a couple more within retail. But really pleased with the results that they've achieved, and certainly from our guest service scores, that's they've been exceptionally positive. And I suppose what you have to remember from an operations point of view is that these brands all have massive support services behind them. So they have, the food and beverage brands will have very large sort of operational kitchens behind there where they're developing, food and products all the time. They've got large marketing teams. So all the things that we probably haven't, they've got. So let's just buy into it. I mean, security for us is absolutely key on our site. We've got 4,500 guests at any one time. They're bringing their children, and what we find is that when somebody arrives on holiday, they react very differently to if they were at home. If they're at home, they would probably shut their door and lock their door, and they very often can forget to do that when they're on holiday. But we take the view. We have a 24-hour security team. We operate very much like any other town or village. That we will have incidents. There's no point sitting and saying that nothing happens. But it's about the way that we deal with those incidents when they happen. How we look after the guest and get the guest to come back again, even though something may have happened. The way our security team works, the way the village works, is we have a fence all around the village, so potentially that stops anybody just wandering in. We have security at the entrance to our village who will check whether the guest should be on site or whether it's a visitor to the guest that they've got booked in. Our teams patrol every 24 hours. We will use other security methods, so that sometimes there may be a dog patrol going around our fence. We will have we've got CCTV like you'd find in any town. So we use a variety of different methods on the village to look after the guest.